This conference will now be recorded.
All right. The Town of Kai's Grove Plan Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall at 4058 County Road Inn. You can also join the meeting by go-to meeting. We have a quorum present. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order. And you have the minutes of the November 24th meeting in your packet.
I didn't see anything. Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mule, second by Anders to approve the minutes for November 24th as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Anyone here or online? No? All right, we'll move to Bruce Peckham, applicant for Terry Peckham, deceased property owner at 2080 County Road BB, seeking a rezone of 3.06 acres from FP 35 to RR2 and 39.2 acres from FP 35 to FP 1 to create one new residential lot. Please.
Here tonight because sister passed away and she had, I think, I don't know how many people have been on the board for how long, but she had came based on her information back in 2012. Got the exact same thing approved, and I believe she didn't carry through with it. She didn't get a survey done at the time, and so it never got recorded at the county.
Yeah.
So back here again, after she passed away, we tried to sell it as all one parcel. And just, nobody wants that much land. And so here tonight, just to split it like she intended originally. It's pretty much the exact same layout, just slightly different, the residential lot, made it a little bit wider out by the road. Talked to the county, no problem with the highway access. Just thought it would be a little bit wider out there in case, I know they put, I don't know what it was last year, they put some fiber optic tubing in or something, and there's a box in that where it says zone X right there along the highway. So if the county would want the driveway on one side or the other, or so far away from that box,
Right.
leave a little flexibility. Otherwise, if I narrow it down, well, then the county comes out, hey, it'd be better over here. Well, I don't really have that zone residential that way. So that's why I know, talking to Kim, she said you guys typically like to see them 2 acres. There was no purpose for it to be 3 other than just the shape,
Okay.
so. And everything from that lot to the east would be sold all as one parcel, so it would be the 3 acres of residential and 22 acres of, I call it pasture, but pasture marsh.
That's lot 4.
Let me just make sure, but I'm pretty sure that'd be right. Yeah, it'd be to the east. Yes, yeah, lot 4, and then everything to the west of there, lots 1 and 2 would be sold together.
With the existing
Buildings,
buildings
yeah,
and
and
19 acres around it.
Yeah, and those numbers could change just a little bit when they do the survey. I mean, it'll be within a half acre, they thought, either way, but just when they stake it out, if everything's exactly the way the legal description is, then it would come out to be pretty much this. Cook County, the way I understand it, talking to Roger up there, they like the survey done after all the approvals, just in case you guys or them want to change something a little bit. So,
Where would the house go?
on the new lot, the lot,
Lot 4?
no, it'd be on lot 3.
Lot 3.
Yeah,
That darker shaded
yes,
area is part of lot 3.
that is lot 3, yeah.
Where the trees are and kind of like the old. forest.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little higher.
yep, that's the hill in
The only
there.
high spot.
So either somebody, people like building on the hill, or gives them a chance. If they don't, they could build out on the flat up to the hill.
And that's the old configuration of the lot. The new one's right here.
Right?
Yeah, it's almost the same, but yeah. Yep.
That survey is from last time, right? In-
Well, they didn't, I talked to Williams, they didn't actually do a survey then,
That one
Right.
that I just had up was from before. and
Yes.
That's why this shape of zone X is a little bit different.
right. We moved it over, so it ends right on the corner of the boundary line, and it didn't do any good to be over there because of the wetlands over there. So talking to the county, they were worried about having a wetland delineation, and talked to the lady here in town that does it. And, it's more than 75 feet away. And if somebody builds like right at the setback, they would probably still have to do the delineation on their site plan approval, to make sure that they're 75 feet away. But she didn't see any reason to actually go out and do the field survey and pinpoint it, because somebody's gonna have to do that anyways on their site plan. But if they just build in the middle, or not right next to the property line, it won't be a problem. Because they want you 75 feet away from any floodplain, wetlands, all that can't be built on.
So the original farmhouse and buildings has been split off or it's just 2 acres.
That's a spot zone, so
Three.
it's owned RR2 already, but it's not divided. Back then, they spot zoned that, so
Okay.
it'll have to be divided when this all gets surveyed. It'll be its own lot, but the zoning is already right.
Is R2.
So it would
Yeah.
stay the,
Lot 1.
It'll just be its own lot. Once they do a new certified survey map to take this in, they'll also divide that instead of it still being the spot zone.
Does he need a split for that?
No, that's already got,
Already done.
that's already got a building right there, and they already have this one other one. It's been determined.
So this would be for an additional residence.
Yes,
Saying.
and they'll still be able to rebuild. They still have
Okay,
a residential parcel where the house burned down.
and that's only still okay then.
I checked with the county on that, yeah.
Roger was saying only if we change, it would have to be rezoned if we change that 360 by 360 by 360. That's already spot zoned to that, which there's no intention of doing that. It's all the buildings that fall on that. And
And then you're gonna also sell, but that's gonna sell the FP1 land right behind it, correct?
yeah, it would sell as, I know it, to me, it sounds stupid, but it's like, I'm talking to Roger, you're actually doing a survey on 4 parcels, but you're only selling 2.
Right.
You're selling the FP1, 18 acres with the existing buildings, 3 acres, and then this new lot with the 22 acres. So then I don't gotta have any, because I think originally, you could have kept all the farmland, or not farmland, all the FP together, but then you would have to have easements, driveway easements and everything else. It's just, it's not what our intention is just split it. One will be 25 acres and one will be 20 acres or 19. So
Is
Go ahead.
lot 3 landlocked right now? There's no access to a road from that lot currently.
Lot 3 is going to be where the new house will go.
right, and there's a field driveway there.
Yeah.
And talking to the county, as long as there's field driveway, they'll just eliminate the field driveway. Sort of, you guys,
Oh, the lot 3, you're seeing that other square, that's not his.
oh, yeah,
The
Which
lot-
one?
The big lot 3 back there, that doesn't belong, that's not part of this farm. That belongs to the landowner behind.
this big lot you're talking,
Yes.
yeah, that's accessed. She sold off a long time ago. It used to have an easement. And she sold off like 45 feet along here. And that's how they have access to that.
Okay, that's fine. I just,
So we're planning on splitting it here, selling this,
Those
and then
two
selling
lots.
this.
And
Yeah, this is
Oh, okay.
another, somebody else's property.
Yeah. Alverson or something.
Henderson, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he has like 80 acres or something, but yeah. So,
So is that gonna hurt the animal quantity that they can have in that barn if you're gonna put that lot in between? That they can, I'm just thinking out loud for you guys.
I would assume, I don't know what the county is, it 1 animal per acre or something.
Yeah.
If somebody buys it, that's what they're gonna have to do. Yeah, they won't be able to have the 45 acres. Because I know she had like 40 horses at one time, but
But if she's got adjoining land, they're probably not gonna get too worried if,
Yeah.
if the barn is on one piece, but she's got, or they have all that adjoining farmland. I think it's probably gonna be fine.
we've had nobody interested in that many horses. I have 4 now and probably 4 too many. But yeah, it's set up with like 16 stalls. And I can say there's been less than 2 people that were looking for more than 1 or 2 horses, or a horse and some chickens type deal. So I know I don't know what the rule is exactly, but it's like 1 animal
one large animal per.
per acre. So in my eyes, there's gonna be plenty for the interest we've had.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Any more questions from the plan commission? Anybody in attendance? Yes, sir.
I have a question on the acreage there. Like 5 years ago, wasn't there some acreage requirements? You couldn't split a farm into little pieces? What is that today? No, because where the buildings are on there, how many acres is that going to be after they sell off that little 3-acre piece and that 39 acres, whatever?
I think he's asking about RDUs. RDUs, and it's based on the whole farm that was under ownership in 1981. And so there's been a density study done that shows this whole farm, which included land across the road back then. And then however many houses there were at that, or splits there were, and it's per 1 per 35 acres. So there's been some houses developed off of this farm, but the county has determined there's still 1 left. But it's not just based on what's here today, it's what that was under that Kenny Goodman's ownership back in 1981.
So there can only be 1 house built on that.
There's only one building right left for what was the Goodman farm back in 1981. And
Okay, but
They
they
have-
can build a house up where the old one burnt down?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one and another one?
yes.
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 answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Anyone online with a
Can I
question?
get your name for the record?
Mine,
Yeah,
James Heisey.
okay.
I own the land down further, butts up the farm. How is that gonna affect the wildlife out there in that marsh? I mean, we're trying to preserve wetland, and that's right in the wetland.
Well, there wouldn't be no building in the wetland.
Right.
They can't build in the wetland.
But around the place down in there, that's all. Good animal, goose, duck, deer, coyote, raccoons, possums. That's a thorough way right there around there, so they don't go out in the swamp for the animals to come through. And by widening that piece of property out down there and building there, you know how many deer been run over out there on that stretch of BB? Three-quarters of a mile? How many coon were laying out there? Possums? You're funneling them down again, more. They're gonna be crossing more in a smaller area. They're always trying to squeeze through the Almighty Creek and getting run over.
What action do you wish to take?
It's pretty much what you've already approved in the past, but they just never pushed on it.
Almost like a reaffirmation.
Yes. Yeah, I know there was discussion a long time ago how many RDUs were in existence. So they must be. I'll just move to approve the rezone as requested.
So lot 3 is to the RR2.
Yep.
And you need a reason for making it bigger than 280.
I got a question. Is that lot an odd shape? Be considered an odd shape where you should ask for it to be adjusted?
Lot be adjusted.
Well, to be where it's more squared up. I'm just asking if it's, the lot is fine the way it looks. You're not, you're supposed to configure very oddly shaped lots.
Yeah.
That's why we give them more than the 2 acres, because of the shape of it being an odd shape.
It's good. It's undulating terrain up there. They don't know where, who knows who's gonna put a house where because they want to protect some of the oak trees up there. So they gotta fight with all that
Okay,
stuff.
so
So
if we're protecting, figure out, doing something.
Well, the other thing is if you change the back line of that or, you know, squared it off in any way, you'd leave a dead corner.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't own this.
Right.
He owns this. And so anything you do here is going to leave goofy corners.
Yeah.
That was the main reason for the back there. I mean, there's just what Kim said. I mean, otherwise you're gonna have a bunch of jig jagging.
Yeah. More so than you see.
And what you pointed out was, everybody that's looked at it loves big oaks, and that's part of what,
the attractiveness.
nobody wants to really take them down. So, yeah, you can position your house more to minimize any of that.
Would there be any gain for you to increase your road frontage? And then shorten the 478 foot back,
Make it more rectangular.
make it a little bit more rectangular? Was there any gain to that? I'm just asking the question.
Probably not, because
Not
the
really.
oaks are in the back.
Okay, then
That's
that's
only
fine.
a line of pine trees in the front along the road.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion by Mule, second by Myler to approve the rezone from FP 35 to FP 1 for the 22 acres, which is lot 4, and FP 35 to RR2, which is 3.06 acres, which is lot 3, and FP 35 to FP1 for 17.24 acres, which is lot 2. And lot 1 had already been created, just not surveyed off.
And that is to be surveyed. That is to be surveyed, correct?
Yes, it has to be included in this survey to show that takes in the old farm buildings, farmstead.
You're not dealing with any town roads, so you don't want to do any easement acquisition. You don't need to do that. Or this
Right away.
right away. Thank you, Ken.
Right, it's a county road.
Yeah, we're getting old. Right.
Any other,
So what was the reason for exceeding 3?
Lay of the land and protecting the oaks.
yeah, protecting the oaks, and it's the only place where you're gonna have high land to get a perk test.
Well, and like I said, it's a bow tie shape to begin with. It's not a rectangle piece to cut out a rectangle piece.
Right. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. It will go to the town board on January 4th. It's a Tuesday rather than a Monday.
Do I need to be present?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we were understanding that they're gonna be starting to talk to the neighbors about this. And open it up.
I asked that question.
Yeah, he started, but then I think you kind of went through.
I only saw one hand go up. I'm sorry.
Yes, we have 4 people that wanted to speak.
I never saw another hand other than his come up.
Freeze it, but that's all right.
You can tell us what you want now.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of opposed to it because of the fact that, Rudy Knudsen, Brandon Marie, Jim, Lloyd, Jamie and myself we're adjacent to that land. And we feel you're gonna be kind of making in 3 more segments out of what was one farm. And truly, we already have a lot of people hunting in a certain area. Also, you're gonna be inviting 3 more segments of land coming in and hunting, and we've got a lot of issues this last fall.
So your main concern is hunting?
One of them, and the other thing is preservation of the land.
Well, I mean, to be able to hunt on the property, you gotta get the property owner's permission.
Well, they've been coming in. We had one poach a deer this year, and we saw them drag it out. And secondly, this year we've not only heard shotguns, which is fine because it's up in the air, but we've actually heard rifles going right through the top, right over the house.
Not from our property, nobody's on
They're
it.
coming in from that area right there by the Pinto Palace coming in there.
Well, they've
You've
been
got
doing
3
it
more.
before.
During
Yeah, 3
deer
more
hunting
people with-
season?
Pardon?
Is that during deer hunting?
Before it and during it, yes.
Because during deer hunting, we do have an ordinance that you can't use a rifle. It's only a shotgun only in the township.
Correct.
So if you hear or see that happening, you need to contact DNR or the local police so that they can enforce that, because they're not supposed to be using rifles.
DNR says it's okay, you can use rifles.
Correct.
It's
Not
the
in the town of
township-
Cottage Grove.
It's the township that says you cannot discharge a rifle in any open rifle deer season. They do not step on the DNR's toes by wording it that way.
Well, nobody hunted the property. If they were hunting illegally.
Yeah.
Or deer hunting,
Because they didn't have your permission.
right? And after she passed, whoever was hunting when she was alive, they pulled all their stands, so they've never asked me.
Yeah. Okay. You have more?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the preservation and, the wildlife. We've been, planting trees, looking at another area that we'll probably dig in some more eventually with the DNR's permission to, create a little bit more of a wildlife refuge there. And this will take away from that. And truly the flow of the animals is going to be tightened. That's going to be very, very difficult to keep them flowing through with that real tight neighborhood now. Right now, they have a pretty good span where they go from the Koshkonong Creek all the way through that whole area. And this will really tighten it up and stop them from wanting to flow through there. Again, there's a big thing with preservation of farmland, and here you're going the opposite way of where everybody else is.
Hasn't been farmed in 30 years.
It doesn't mean it won't be. I mean, you got the Koshkonong Creek, and they're looking at dredging, and that's going to create a little bit more farmland there.
Who's looking at dredging it?
There's the Friends of Koshkonong Creek. They're looking at doing some different areas of trying to create more of a preserve that area.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I talked to Dane County, they've been buying up wetlands, whatever that organization, and I approached them about buying the whole farm to put it in wetland preservation.
Mhm.
And they said if the rest of the landowners around there would throw in that they'd sell their land, they'd be interested, but they didn't want it. They didn't want 40
Just a
acres.
small piece.
So I talked to the gentleman behind me with 80 acres, if he was interested in doing that. He didn't get back to me that he was interested, but yeah, I approached Dane County because then it would all be, they would take the buildings down and everything, and it would all been preserved.
Right.
I know they bought some over by Middleton and that, but they weren't interested in small piece. So, I mean, I care less who buys it. If somebody wants to buy it, preserve it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You know?
Anything else? No? All right, moving on then. So January 4th to the town board. 7 o'clock.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Next item, we have Paul back. 3447. Seeking site approval for an indoor storage facility. 6 acres west of 3447 North Star Road, reappearance from November.
Hello, everyone.
Long time no see.
Yes. Joining me tonight is Ben Tendre. He is an attorney representing on my behalf, and Aaron Falkowski, who is the civil engineer who has done a tremendous job in the planning of this site. They are both on Zoom. Steve Banowitz is also here, who is an interested party. He owns the property in condo unit 1 and 2. And that's where we're at.
I got a question.
Okay.
Let's go through comments and any discussion on that before we-
Why don't you start with the deed restrictions that we put on the property when we first did Danovitz.
Yeah.
And then at the top of that, you have the definition from Dane County, what indoor storage and repair is and what warehousing is.
Okay.
Is it possible to add a moment of clarification regarding that?
Sure.
So at the last meeting, I was not as clear as I should have been in the representation of what we were going to do. In your packet is a letter that I put together that defines what we're gonna do, because it came down to whether, is this warehousing, is this indoor storage? And frankly, it's yes. We are using this as a working facility to do the actual repair and have paid employees on the property as we phase it in to work on the boats. So we will be storing boats, but every one of those boats, based on 20 years of history of our business, has what's called a work order. That means it's a job ticket. So the folks come in and they hire us to perform services on the boat. So this campus will serve two masters. Currently, the way we do it right now is we have boats off of our store footprint right now, which is not a big footprint. So we have stored boats off-site, and over the course of the winter, we bring those boats back to the facility and perform the maintenance. Obviously, it's recreational boating. Nobody wants to have the work done in the summertime. We've structured the way we serve our customers, and it works very well. Maintenance, cleaning, all the aspects of keeping the boat in running in tip-top shape. And so most of our customers are fairly generous and have us do a lot of work on their boats. So that's what we've been doing forever, and it works well. Currently, in 2021, we have 130 boats stored off our premises, and we have 130 work orders for which we're going to start to do the work. So how does this work on this campus? As we phase in buildings, and when we get to about 200 to 250 boats under roof, and each one of these buildings will hold 45 to 50 boats depending. When we get up to about 200 boats, we are then going to build an improved building on condo unit 2. You'll see that more abbreviated building on the most easterly part of the property, right next up to Steve's property. That will be an improved building, meaning that will be set up so we can have our team come in, and instead of having to drag 200 boats back to our place, 200 boats back, they never leave the campus. That'll improve efficiency. We'll be able to get more work done. As I stated in my letter, a comment was made at the last meeting. It says, how much is enough? And in a very, it was, again, I did not do a good enough job. How much is enough? Well, I asked our employees that, and we looked at that. And every one of these boats represents several $100s of income for our employees, maintenance guys, detail team, cosmetic, transportation. So this is not just cold storage. Yes, we store boats and it's a cold environment. There is revenue generated. There are skilled tradesmen that are performing services on these boats. These buildings are an economic engine. There's some really good people, and there will be more good people because we are about at capacity right now with our staff. We have to staff up, and we have already are doing that on a separate location, not here in the community, real close to our building. So we will have plenty of capacity to have these skilled tradesmen doing their thing. So we put all these seeds in the ground for the facility, this campus, to be at full, fully improved and up and running. So that, and guys, friends, I'm sorry, Chris or Kim, that has not changed. This plan has been in place for years. We have conducted business this way for over 20 years with a very good reputation in the community and regionally. We have folks visit us from 2 to 3 hours away for us to do work because we have some specialty boats that we work on. And that's how we are going to utilize and develop this campus.
Okay, Troy, you had a question?
Let's go back to what you were talking about. Your housing is that.
Yeah, we have to make that determination. Is it indoor storage or is it warehousing? we allow indoor storage. We don't allow warehousing as part of the original deed restrictions that were recorded on the property.
And the county defined warehousing as,
Any land use orientated to the short-term indoor storage, shipment and possible repackaging of commercial materials, household goods, or personal property.
well, I wouldn't I wouldn't consider this any type of repackaging, obviously. You know, if you're storing an item, a person or persons in the building, correct?
Mhm.
Conditional bid. As far as your tradesmen and that, you know, if you're planning on moving your whole business there, I mean, it's one thing, but your tradesmen are doing their jobs right now, correct? Okay, so that part of your economic engine is still there, correct?
First of all, I don't think he's not affording to move his whole business there at all, from what I understand. This is only a segment of that business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But that part of his business is still operational, whether he's there or not. Okay. I was just reading over what Mark had written.
Okay.
Does that need to be discussed? What are this goes back to the first discussions, we were talking about fire and that. We storing the boats in the wintertime, right?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, what day is inset and then what day is pulling out?
In general terms, September 1st to as late as June 30th. It varies, right? I can't.
I think some people might not even pick up a boat some years.
Unfortunately, yes, we've had that happen.
So there might be a couple left over during the whole year.
But the overwhelming majority is, it's the boating season.
How are your contracts yearly?
No.
Monthly?
No, we see, well, monthly and season. We have other buildings that we own.
Yeah.
That we do some monthly in and out, what we call in and out storage. So you want to buy a boat and you can't put it in your garage and you want something in the summertime, but you want it on the roof and you want to be able to get it, we offer that. That will not be on this property. We have a building on Marsh Road that we've owned for years, actually 2 warehouses that we do that. So to answer your question, the contracts that we have a wide scope. In this particular case, because of the use and the intention, it's going to be it'll be the winter use.
Okay. I'm done for now.
Anyone else?
I guess the question I have, I mean, it's very easy to create a work order for anything. I mean, you know, customer states he has a scratch, okay? Boom, you created your work order. You, on paper anyway, have determined that this boat now will go over here to this facility. All right, you repair that scratch in that boat, then it becomes simply storage, i.e. in my mind, according to what I'm interpreting here, warehousing. Every boat is not worked on constantly over the course of the year or the off season, correct? You'll complete your work on a boat and it'll just sit there because you've completed that work order unless you've created a work order for or a contract for storage for that boat for the off season, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, that's.
Well, I can tell you this, sir. In all the years that we have done this, over the course of the winter, we have never had a work order as minute as what you just described.
But I'm saying theoretically, in order for you to
Yes.
accomplish what you want to do a simple work order, I'm using the extreme for a scratch. You could go ahead and create a work order for that and basically let the boat sit all winter because it has an open work order for that particular scratch, something that you will, and I have no doubt that you would, fix prior to the next boating season or whenever the customer would do that. So I guess what I'm saying in the long run is that it's quite easily abused, you know, in order to potentially get around of the maintenance side of things. And additionally, how many buildings were you going to build before you decided to build your quote maintenance shop?
We believe, as I stated just a few minutes ago, that at 200 boats under roof, which would be, if you divide 50 into 200, that would be 4 buildings, give or take, because of the size of the boats and when not every building fits perfectly in 50. You have to, in that space, you have to understand that we serve between 18-foot and 26-foot boats, okay? So as we get to about 200 units, at that point, the revenue, because I'm not made of a lot of money, will be such that we can justify spending 3 times per square foot rate to build an improved facility and do the septic field and all that, so that we can just take care of all of those boats on premises, as opposed to now what we're going to have to do for the next few years is transit these boats back to our main maintenance facility over the course of the winter and bring them back. We get a 6-inch snowfall, that takes us down for 2-3 days. You're not really dragging these boats and sloppy, so it stops our production. So the sooner we can get 200 boats and 4 buildings built, the sooner we're going to get moving on this improved facility, so we don't have to be dragging these boats 8 miles back to our main facility over the course of the season.
That's it. Again, I guess I would ask the commission to decide, is it indoor storage or is it warehousing?
If you went and looked at the definition of warehousing and it says personal property, each one of those items that you're storing is somebody's personal property, correct? Yes. So there, it's warehousing. Under this definition, plain and simple. That's it. The other side of your business, which is what I brought up, I mean, that still functions. Even if this didn't belong or wasn't in here, if you understand what I'm saying. Yes?
Not during that period of time, no. It stops. People don't bring, first of all, we have many folks in the community here that live on these small lots on the lake, so they can't store that, okay?
Right.
So we have to take care of all the aspects of the boat. So yes, if I did not grow and if I was static at this point, we could probably squeeze it all in, but we've got so much business, we don't have to do it. Yes.
I am not just, arguing with you the fact that is a huge portion of your business. It's actually the final piece. It's kind of like, can you please take my boat out of the water, service it, and then take care of it in the off season? There it is. That's that part of the little off season portion. Where can you put my boat for me? Because it can't stay in the lake. I understand that entirely. I knew another guy that wanted to do the same thing. Look for space all over. He was over towards Johnson's Creek area. And I understand. But per the definition that we have, that's the problem. That's in the deed restrictions. Mr. Bant, it was set up when he had that whole piece of land done.
Could not include the warehouse.
Did not include the warehouse.
Okay, but what's the difference between, in my mind, I've never asked, or never had anybody ever ask me if I could warehouse their boat over the winter time. They're asking if I could store their boat over the winter time. Why is this not indoor storage?
I understand where you're going with
This is, it's semantics, and I think you're
I understand.
looking at something really weird on that. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the commission.
And it's not deed restricted to indoor storage.
No, indoor storage.
Yeah. So, and he's not,
Is allowed.
to Paul's benefit, to Paul's credit, he's not doing it. We'd be all over him if he's doing outside storage.
Yeah.
He's doing all indoor storage. Bless his heart.
Mhm.
That's great. We have to deal with that outdoor storage in town of Deerfield right near me, the old Dvorak property.
Well,
Looks like hell.
Benny, all right, who's it?
So does everybody agree that it is not warehousing?
Totally. I don't see any form or site of warehousing. Warehousing usually means materials coming in, we're doing something to them, or just storing them for a little while and materials going out, not items of licensable items, meaning boat licenses.
So on one side, and see Dave's side, but are we setting a precedence if we change this? Setting the precedence for anybody else coming in? Which we are.
If we have set the same restrictions on
in
that
the
property.
deeds. Yeah,
Or it comes down to what they're storing. Again, like you said, this is storing a license versus, canned goods for something, that's whatever. It's
Yeah.
coming in.
oh, that's,
This is something that's actually being stored, not just going in for a short period of time and come back out, bringing something else in and taking it back out.
yeah, that's why I asked the time frame. It's not like it's gonna be there a year,
Right.
but it is,
Initially, it's going to be, probably in and out because they're bringing boats in to take them back out. But once they get this building, so it's like I said, it's real kind of a play on words to try and figure out
no,
exactly
yeah,
what's
but it,
storage and what's warehousing.
but it's just by definition says like personal property or personal property. It's somebody's personal property. It's titled property.
Show of hands for warehousing,
Excuse me, we had a man back here with his hand up.
and Plan Commission is still discussing warehousing. Okay?
Looks like you're gonna ram that vote through like you did the last one.
We're just trying to understand, are they going to consider it indoor storage or warehousing? That makes a
Well, maybe
difference.
this man has an answer for you.
I was just gonna make a comment, like, for instance, I think the way that the county sets that up, for instance, and where they say warehousing, for instance, is like, for me personally, I own mini warehousing. That's where, in my opinion, that's warehousing.
That's in Grant County too.
What's that?
It's in Grant County.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general, in the county, as far as the warehousing versus whatever. It again, completely, you guys, it makes no difference to me what you consider it, but that's how my opinion is. Like I say, we had Chris and I and we had a conversation with Roger Lane about it, and he basically said it's up to you guys to interpret it. So
We have to decide, and that's what I'm trying to get them to do.
yep, no, I get you.
So a show of hands for defining warehousing as what he is doing versus indoor storage.
Indoor storage.
I call it storage.
Indoor storage, that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Indoor storage.
5. Okay. Majority rules, it's indoor storage. Moving on from indoor storage, that's allowed.
It's hard, so hard.
Continue on. 4. I believe you did. You should. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna move to North Beaufort.
Go ahead.
Oh, really?
No. So I just, by looking at this, I'm reading it. So, having obviously, it'd be a huge undertaking. Where are we gonna put all these roads? Everyone's got to, the landowner's got to be on board. But like it's been said, maybe we can move the road to the south. Is that possible?
Did you see, I asked him that and it's in the email string there. That's on the top of the second page of Mark's, of the handle from Mark. I asked him, is there any reason the road can't go to the south?
Okay.
And that's what he's addressing on the first page.
Right.
That question. Sure, it's possible. It's put it there because of these reasons.
And he bolded it too, he said. Well, he did make the note in there about it being the depth of the road would be a violation. Right? How's that road set up now in there, that driveway? Your driveway coming in along the front of the building.
How's all on the south side?
Yeah, well, it's on the south side. Of what, I mean,
Roughly 70 feet in front of most of those buildings.
It's a 20-foot wide.
Yeah, that's how I read it.
Gravel fire lane.
And what?
Gravel fire lane.
Yep.
The available land is 70 feet. That's for clarity, it's a 70-foot wide chunk of land to put what we have proposed, a 20-foot fire road in, well, access road that,
Access road, yeah.
they'd need 66 feet plus.
No.
Pardon?
You wouldn't be
Would need 66.
If you're gonna do,
What would you need in the front of the property?
No, so he's saying if you're gonna put a road in,
If you're gonna put a road in front, much like this, they'd have to be 66 feet.
More.
Yeah, so he would have 66 feet of the road.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Plus, he'd have to have his own driveway.
Okay. One question.
my personal opinion is the map that we have that has that road drawn on there is purely conceptual and not etched in stone whatsoever, because nobody's made any commitments to buy that land to put a road in. So Mr. Benevitz is free to do whatever he wants to do with proposed for his property, including selling it. And you can always move the road to the south. It's pretty easy to move earth these days if the topography is not right, and moving it 66 feet to the south, put that in there, it shouldn't be a problem in my mind. He needs the property to the west to put in the ponds where that road would curve up to the north. You could always make, on the map, road C could be just a little bit shorter if you had to. Just a conceptual map for planning purposes only. It's not etched in stone.
Agreed, but there's no reason like the present that we can't go ahead and begin to take that concept and create reality out of it.
Yeah, but you aren't gonna, you have to compensate benefits for the land. You know, if he wants to provide it,
We have to be compensated. We have to compensate, correct? Yes.
Not if they dedicate it. That happens on the CSM.
Any background in your mind about that road being on that?
When we were trying to carve out a space that would work for Paul, I advised him to look at keeping 66 feet the whole length of that property. In the interest that if the town ever wanted to make a town road there, if we made it 40 feet, it's a done deal, it's not gonna work. So we intentionally set aside that space for future planning for that opportunity. Yes.
Did you also, was it talked about about a road, if you went all the way back, would it be exceedingly too long? If you were to put a road there, that was a dead end?
I think there is something in Dane County where you can only go a certain length before a road can dead end.
Okay.
You know, 700 feet or 1,000 feet or something. But this would be his driveway, right? Until it's deeded as a road. And then once it's deeded as a road, then that's an opportunity for you to hook up somewhere else or do something different or to overcome whatever Dane County has for a restriction there. So if I had a frustration, it's that I know at some point, Tom, we want to hook this whole area up to N, but I've never seen any ideas from this group or planning group that shows how that would happen. Would it happen farther north, so it would line up directly straight through east-west, or is there going to be a big S curve and come out somewhere here? Because now between Capitol and myself, we can't squeeze a road in.
Between you and Capitol?
It'd be difficult. I mean, because they've got that huge berm now, that would all have to be, and the drainage would get challenging. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but it seems like we've pinched that to the point where it'd be more difficult to look at that space, but probably not impossible. If we go farther north than Capitol with that idea, I'm not sure that the soils will support it without a lot of work because it starts to get wet down there.
Chris, do you want this up on the screen?
I guess the part that I have the biggest problem with is in our 12.8, which discourages all metal buildings and advise for some architectural variation of long, flat buildings and would require some clear indication of all building material. And we're going to have 10 long, narrow buildings crammed into this smaller area, and can't wrap my head around that. That's going to look great.
You have to throw this out about, when we talked about fire, going back to that.
Yep.
We're talking again, winter storage, not summer storage. If you have fire, and you're going snow in the way, you can put a hole all in the back end of that line, 150 feet. It'd be nice to have a road on the backside if that's not in the plan.
The question was also brought up about the 60% lot coverage last time, in that we did
Don't meet that.
what's that?
And we aren't anywhere close
Yeah,
to it.
We're at roughly, Roger landed in 37%.
But just because you can put a building this big.
No, I understandable completely.
You know, you get 9 or 10 smaller buildings, you ended up with a tilt-up building that's double high. That's gonna be a lot more visible than these smaller heights buildings.
What was the total peak height on
They're
that?
25-foot peak heights.
At the peak.
at the peak. And the eve height is 17 feet. They're with 14-foot doors.
The tilt-up building would be much more visible than this thing, so. And you're gonna put in vegetation, right? So give it a few years.
Our plan also is on that maintenance facility, the exact details, but those maintenance facility that are closest to Mr. Vanovitz's property, we could add some architectural features like brick to the front of them or something like that to help those, just an idea.
I would say all of them, my opinion, just because of the fact you're still gonna see them regardless. You know, 12 and 18 is higher than the elevation back where the property is, and, you know, it'll be quite visible.
Sore thumb.
Huh?
Like a sore thumb?
Yeah.
Till you get other buildings up.
And in your latest plan that we have, I still don't see how you're going to get to your septic tank and well.
You get back to it by driving to it with the truck once every 3 years, and we pump it. That tank it's no bigger than a residential tank in any residential property.
How many gallons is that?
What's that?
How many gallons?
We haven't done an exact specification on how many gallons the tank is. It's just preliminary. That's just a preliminary location at this time. We haven't done perk tests for it, but it's a preliminary location at this time.
1,000 gallons.
Well, you still have to pump it every 3 years.
County will make you inspect it, pump it.
I can't hear you.
County makes you inspect it, pump it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's the way it is for all of us. Yeah.
This goes through, then the road is
Correct.
done. That issue, that thing, we can't come back.
On that property.
Correct. We can go
Either go
other,
north or south.
other locations, but we should figure out where that's gonna be. Just in case, that's my thought.
Any more questions from the planning commission? I have one registrant, Travis.
I'm just for informational purposes. So if you guys have any questions. and
You
it's
said
just
you wanted to speak.
I tried to circle informational.
Okay.
But does anybody have any concerns about the service part of the business? I personally don't.
All depends when they decide to put it in. That's my concern.
Yeah.
That's,
I don't, personally, because he needs to have he's not asking for that right now, but some kind of guidance on it.
well,
You know, I don't think you're gonna have any issue on it personally, because the property owner right to the back is certainly doing that.
what's that?
Servicing their equipment.
Right, but what if
Capital.
he decides not to service the equipment for the next 5 years? Because he doesn't have enough.
Right, but in the future, he may want to. Do we have an issue with that now? Because that might sway his decision.
I guess I would put a drop dead date on it as far as the construction of the maintenance building.
Things don't happen like that in real life sometimes, Steve.
Well,
You get that?
If business is that good, you know, I don't want to see him build 8 buildings and just stagnate there, because he determines legitimately or not, and we have no way to prove it or not, that, oh, business isn't good enough for me to hire more people to stick out here. So this basically becomes just a storage facility. And I don't want that. I want some guarantees. And I believe we have the right to have some sort of guarantees to keep this from becoming another mini warehouse, storage or self-storage area.
I got a quick question for you. How many boats do you service that are that are from new to 7 years? The reason why I ask this is that it shows if you're moving forward with your business, there's good boat sales. It's kind of be a good forward moving progress. That's what I'm just looking.
The boats last a lot longer than cars.
Yeah.
So we have a cadre of boats that go back more than 7 years. We are adding 25 to 30 new storage customers per year at current sales. Now, I am not an economist, but I've been in this business a long time, and we have recessions, and they come out of nowhere, and we've survived several of them. We have floods. We have things that retard sales. In our business, the structure of my business, this aspect of the business is, we'll call it the steady Eddie, okay? In fact, we actually have metrics that we measure in ourselves in agriculture, automobile, and in marine. We call it service absorption. We track how much of the revenue coming out of our service department pays for all of our expenses, our mortgages, our light bills, and all that. Car guys are at 100% absorption with their service, meaning they don't have to sell a single car and they can live to fight another day, all right? We're at about 60%.
Correct.
Our goal, and this will lean toward it, will be good. So what does that mean? That increases the solvency of the business, and this is where all my employees are, and all my customer interactions are really on the service end of things. The sales guy, one sales guy. I got a whole bunch of other people that serve this master. So the whole point of it is that based on history, that's what we can continue to add. So that's why we feel that sooner rather than later that we are going to need this, because it becomes having to move 200 boats back and forth. We ain't going to make it till March. We struggle right now to make it till March to get the current roster of boats done in our current situation. I want to get that maintenance facility built faster than you guys do, okay? I really do. But I can't go bankrupt in the process too, and I can't say that if you can promise me the economy will continue on the same trajectory,
It won't.
I will
You know
promise,
that.
well, I can make this same promise. You got to work with me on this thing. It's a two-way street. You're going to hold me accountable to this certain date because based on particular growth, then you got to promise me that I'm going to have economy to grow into.
But if you're going to be storing that many boats out there, you're going to tell me that you don't have the business to build your maintenance facility?
No, I am. That's what I'm saying. I've said this 3 times. At about 200 boats, we feel, based on the math, that it warrants making the investment and putting that in. I have not changed what I've said to you guys. I said it at the first meeting and I've said it twice now. Okay, 200 boats is 4 buildings.
How many boats are you storing right now?
130. And we have 9 fingers in the dam and we don't say a word about storage. And we're not trying to grow that. We're not even, we just added a new technician and, you know, there's, you might know, or may not have heard this, but there's a little bit of a labor shortage, and there's even a bigger labor shortage with tradesmen, okay? Everybody wants an art history degree. Good for them. But we can put $70,000 to $80,000 in an individual's pocket a year, every year, performing this activity. It's a good paying upper middle class job right now. And we're trying to get as many going because the demand is out there.
Any more questions? Somebody want to make a motion? One way or another, something.
What do we want to, to me, there's, I don't know, it just seems to be a lot of up in the air stuff right now. Not so much with your business, with what's going on and what's within there, in my opinion.
I would personally would rather see 1 or 2 larger buildings and put in a tank for fire protection so that there aren't possibly up to 10. I wouldn't allow building one to go in.
Potentially.
That potential has to stay there.
With one of those retention ponds have to go in right away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the other part is how can they go in if the road would go through there?
They'll make stormwater go in.
Chris, may I address your comment about sprinkling it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
May I address the comment about building bigger buildings and sprinkling it? Unfortunately, the market will not bear that. Because it's not just digging a pond, it's insulating, it's heating, or digging a well in a tank and a pressure tank and all that. It goes way beyond just that and the wells. Okay. I can tell you, Mr. Market will not, they will go find, there's still Farmer Brown that will store a boat for $120 a year. Okay, that's going away, but no offense to farmers, I just use it, but yes, that's what I have to compete against. And guys will drive, or a county will have their county fairgrounds or something like that. Okay, our customers have been more than generous, and for what we pay, the math just kind of pays the rent and the mortgage. Again, we make our money on the work order for the boat. It is in our absolute best interest for the stability of my business, for the income of my employees, to go beyond just one little scratch on a boat and just to do it for academic purpose. There's just too much work involved for a scratch. And none of these boats can live sub-freezing without catastrophic failure of the engine. So they don't, this is not a
Well,
convenience.
yes, they can. Don't, I mean, you can winterize the engines. There are thousands of boats being stored outside as well as, right now, properly winterized.
Let me clarify what I was saying, sir. Without a proper mechanical procedure being performed on the engine, aka the generic term winterization, these boats can't survive. The point I was making is our clients, who are not very handy, hire us to perform all of these duties, whether it's setting outside or setting in a metal building sub-freezing. And the point of it is just to address the scratch point so that we would rig the system, okay? I got 20 years of work orders that can prove you wrong, and I can pull my computer up right now. I got to look at you, and we have to just look at each other on trust. But I've got a very well-established business, and I am not BSing you guys. And I take offense to that, sir. We're not here to pull anything over any wool over anybody's eyes. We're serving the community, we're adding jobs, and we're taking care of a need, and we're just asking for this. And I would love to build a 25,000 square foot building and call it good. You know how much easier that would be? This is not ideal in my world, but this is the way it is. And I'm trying to do the best I can to meet the demand of the market. I'm sorry you poked a little bit of a nerve right here, but I am not BSing you. I built my entire damn business on honesty and integrity. And you don't know me, but this guy does. And he can vouch for me. I've been friends with him for 25 years. Sorry, Dave.
Haven't sold me a boat yet, but.
I'm sorry, folks. I care deeply about this, and I've got good folks that are dependent on me to deliver this in here, and I'm looking for a win-win. So again, if I got a little.
Right.
It's up.
Do you remember how much did it cost the county to put in that?
Huh? Yeah, that's fine.
And at the AV?
I knew we got the whole cost, right?
You want to put in a
I
tank,
agree with him, that would price
you want to
him
put in
right
a
on.
tank and a sprinkler system,
To do that. That was like,
a few $100,000.
it was in the hundreds of
You
thousands.
said 200?
A few $100,000. It'll be to put in a tank, sprinkler system for that capacity. You're talking for a 25,000 square foot building, you're probably talking 400, 500,000 bucks.
I thought what Nick said at the board the other night was in the $300,000 range, yeah.
But it's,
Agree with that, that would.
Plus it's heating, and it's not just the water, guys. You got to heat them and insulate them too. When you talk about those costs, you're going to keep the building at 45 degrees,
You bury it.
No, but
Not
the
above
building.
ground.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
but-
not an expert on this, but I would think that, I don't know if you could have a sprinkler system in the building that was at 5 degrees.
It's dry
Well,
until
you
such
do a
time
dry
as it
system,
goes.
but that's, okay. That would kill the whole project right there.
His landscaping plan calls for a total of 17 trees, 9 conifers, which are either Fraser fir, black hill spruce, Colorado blue spruce, 8 deciduous that are made up of autumn blaze maple, skyline honey locust, and swamp white oak. Well, ask again, does someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it. The site.
What do you do about the building?
Any limitations on building 1?
Not right now,
You know, I
the
think,
long term. I'm of the opinion we can just move the road to the south.
I think it's not so much after we made a decision, warehousing or storage, we're at storage, okay. Now we just need to figure out what's the max that really he can have. Because right now he's at max, we kind of looked at that. Well, it doesn't look like max for what he's showing to me is gonna work if you're gonna put a road. Now that's providing that we can't move it to the south. Okay, that's my thing. If we can move it to the south, well, then we go forward with something he's proposed, plus some additions. But until such time, can't see really approving something. It's gonna set him on a path to where he's gonna be like, oh crud, this went to the county or to somebody else, and he got hit with a wall, and he can't go any further. And that's where I'm at, just realistically, can you really not, can you just say, the heck with it and approve this? I can't, I really can't. I don't think I'd be doing him a good justice or a good service in just turning a blind eye to some of the stuff we learned tonight.
And how do we address A through E from Roffers regarding the town ordinances? That has to be approved first before you go ahead and let them start building. That's already,
I didn't see that as insurmountable.
yes. Well, we need to know what it is.
Okay, well, put it in there. Does he know what those limitations are?
I don't have a clue.
What Rolfer said?
He did. I did forward Robert's email. That's what you're asking.
I'm certain you said this before, Paul. When is your start date if you're looking at spring?
Start date? You say yes.
No, wait for the county.
Well, yeah, for all intents and purposes, we want to move as quickly as possible.
Well, let's go back to this, because I don't see it as insurmountable.
I'm not saying it is, Dave, but I'm saying we have to have answers. We have to know exactly what his requirements are, or excuse me, what he plans on doing before we give him approval.
How big are the trees going to be? 2-inch diameter?
4 feet. I talked to a professional landscaper and he said that a minimum, these trees will start off at 4 feet and what the diameter. And the reason there's so many different species, it was based on availability. He ran into issues this year of not being able to get, depending on when the trees get planted, because you can't plant the trees and then disturb. So our plan is to prepare the site as best we can, just so that we can just kind of add buildings, so that will give us the ability to drop the landscape in sooner rather than later. But then,
4-foot conifers?
Sorry?
4-foot conifers, and
Yes.
the deciduous are going to be
The same as the way I was understanding from him, is that we'll start off that way.
Pretty small.
the deciduous. The conifers will grow faster.
The deciduous trees will be tiny for a very long time.
Yeah. They need foot. Come on, you started.
Okay, well, to address this, just so some of the input for Paul is that the ordinance discourages all metal buildings and advises some architectural variation. So that's why you always like the little cupola, but if you guys need some brick on there, then you need to tell Paul what kind of brick you want or how much brick. The second thing is requires landscaping sufficient size. When you're talking about that, you can put that in there. The trees will get larger. I'm not worried about that stuff. Got a lot of roof runoff to
Right,
feed them.
but the deciduous tree will not buffer adjoining properties in 5 years.
Well, this is a young area, Steve. It's a
Hey,
converting farmland.
David, this is our one chance to get it right and get it right the first time. You know, I don't want to cut any corners, nor do I want to let anything slide because of the fact, once you start sliding, it's almost
I
impossible.
understand. Exterior lighting, he's already submitted the stuff on the lights.
That was
And,
all good.
Provisions made to accommodate fire and EMS. I think he changed the driveway accordingly with the
That hammerhead.
hammerhead. And I'm sure it will support the fire trucks, 58,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So, and the last one was provide calculations required parking spaces. This is an unusual deal where you don't need a lot of parking spaces for his own. He's already said he's got handicap spaces on each of the buildings, which,
Handicap spaces are based on building occupancy and per building, so I have planned out, well, on that one building, on the first building, number 7, which would be, there has to be a handicap accessible stall in front of that. We can move that handicap accessible stall as long as it's within 1% grade of the front, which is not a problem. We could really move it really wherever we want to.
so my point here is that, the consultant didn't see any parking spaces on the plans. You guys could put parking spaces on there for.
I have to when I submit the plan, the state plans.
And then whatever parking you need for the service people too, so, but there is not, Paul has said there's no retail out of here. You don't need a lot of parking spots in my mind.
9 and 10 would need parking.
Yeah, right. So you guys got to put those on the plans.
Yep.
Let's put them to that.
And you're okay with the color? Okay with the colors?
Right here. Exhibit A. I'm serious, I'm not,
Brown on
brown on top of the roof and then, tan on the side.
the, 10 on the sides.
Fine looking buildings. I got the best builder in town.
No, we won't debate that tonight.
Thanks for that, Chris.
If you were to go, I'm just hypothetical, if you go 70 foot wide, what does that do to that building? And does it help you with storage at all? Which building? So all these buildings, if you went to a 70 foot wide.
That's over 12,000 square feet. We have to do fire suppression.
The sprinklers.
You'd have to shorten it up.
That's if there was a trade-off for length, the width. What does that do though for your truss? What's it going to do for your pillar? And how much more cost is that going to be for him? Or is there a trade-off?
It's square footage, hypothetically speaking, square footage is square footage in buildings, but making them wider, we would make them shorter, which would be less boats to be able to store. Because you'd have to make it 70 foot wide, I have to make it more like, I don't know, whatever 12,000 would be. Say I have to do 110 or whatever it is to accommodate that, which is going to make those buildings shorter, probably to the north shorter, which is going to mean that less boats and a bigger driveway per se.
Correct.
But again, it boils down to the less boats side of stuff. I just felt that the size, hypothetical, you're correct when you ask the question of the trusses. It's cheaper. It's more cost effective to make a building narrow and long because you're spanning less distance, you're carrying less snow, you're less bracing in a building. So yes, the
He's
answer.
going to have a
Less height.
What's that?
There'll be less height for the. Because of the fact, if you go wide this
wider,
way,
you're going to pick taller.
right, you're gonna lose pitch. So in order to maintain your pitch,
You're gonna have-
It's going to be taller if you go wider also.
So that's something that.
We just felt that this size was optimal for the actual property with the driveway the current way. And that's what fit the best as far as functionally and cost.
Hey, were you done with your motion?
If you guys,
I interrupted, sorry.
if you guys find something else we gotta add, I am,
What was the actual motion?
to approve the reason, to approve the site plan. The request is to seek site approval for indoor storage facility
So you're approving the site plan as presented.
with some of the modifications for the landscaping.
Including the landscaping plan tonight.
And the two color samples that you were shown.
Yeah.
And so is the landscaping, I heard something about 4-foot trees, 4-foot conifers and 8-foot deciduous. Is that part of it?
Yes. Wasn't it?
It's on Steve's chicken scratching here. Mr. Bennett is chicken scratching.
Not chicken scratching.
No, those heights.
No, that's mine. So. The exterior lighting, as you said.
That was okay.
Yep, and we had the provisions already in the site plan for the fire department, and I guess the only thing is the parking spaces, so you have to determine what those are gonna be. I really don't care personally. You're not gonna have a lot of retail traffic here at all.
Zero.
Retail. But that's, again, that's driven off the occupancy of the building. So like those maintenance shops, being that they're gonna be an occupied building, that drives me
9
to.
and 10 are going to determine what you're gonna have.
Correct.
And
Yep.
that's to be determined yet, so.
Every other building will have one handicap stall in front of it.
Okay.
Just a note, just a side note also, that I know we talked about last time about the recycled asphalt versus gravel. Aaron can vouch for this more probably than I can, but being that something about Aaron, you're on the call. Can you address the question or the comment about the gravel in front of the maintenance shop versus the asphalt, the recycled asphalt, please? Please, on.
70, 50,
There he is.
Yeah, I'm on here. This is Aaron with Quam Engineering. Good evening, everybody. So yeah, as far as the parking and if there's going to be parking stalls in front of buildings 9 and 10, the surface of that area would likely need to be a gravel limestone surface versus the crushed asphalt, just to provide some oil and grease control from those parking stalls.
That was a discussion with the DNR that Aaron brought up to me when
They don't want to see that recycled blacktop.
something about the oil and water.
Bleaching. Okay.
Would the maker of the motion be willing to add that they would not allow building 1?
That's the one near the ponds, right?
Yes,
Uh,
that's south of the ponds.
Unless if there was some allowance from the town for that aspect.
What do you mean? What kind of allowance?
I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud.
Why do we have to give them anything?
No, at this point, we're just wanting that to stay open, not built on,
Until when?
until we decide where the road's gonna go.
You could just put a condition on it with until the road comes. So you decide the road. That's the last one we're gonna put in.
The ponds are gonna have to go. there.
Ponds are gonna have to go
Those are gonna
in.
go no matter what.
Yeah.
That's not an issue.
Yeah.
They're gonna go in no
You've
matter
heard
what.
ponds.
They wouldn't have to go to the west or to the east or anything like that. It's fine where they're at.
That's for Dane County
Okay.
Yeah.
to determine.
So, I don't know. How strong are you guys on building 1?
Well, look at, how about this, in 10 or 15 years when actually all this starts to get developed, when you guys get infrastructure in,
I
sewer
would,
and water?
don't say 10 to 15 years. We are actively marketing the area so as that we can begin to develop that area.
We really need that road to go through to make this development real. Otherwise, you're gonna have a fire problem.
It really does help the project.
How?
Financing it.
I mean-
It's meeting of the, you know, we're under the guidelines of 60% coverage on this property.
I understand.
37%. If it becomes a big deal and you guys have to have that road, that's a metal building, the metal can be recycled, we can tear it down and you can help.
I guarantee you will not tear it down.
Can you let me finish? May I have the floor, please? A win-win proposal would be, at some point, when that building was needed to be demoed or gone, my entire project will be up and running. Good Lord willing, our business will be continuing to growing, and I'll be sitting there going, boy, I need some more land. Maybe at that point, we could demo this building and you guys could help me find an acre or two so I could put 2 or 3 more up to continue growing my business. And you guys get a road and I get more resources to continue growing.
No.
Okay.
Just the feasibility side.
No. Are you done?
Yeah, for my stuff, yeah.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Yep.
And that's leaving building 1?
Mhm.
Do I have to ask the clerk to read back the motion so that everyone remembers what it says?
How about some discussion?
It was to approve the site plan as presented, including the landscape plan, but adding that the conifers are 4 feet and the deciduous are 5 feet.
8 feet.
8 feet. Approving the colors that were presented, noting that parking will be as required for occupancy of buildings 9 and 10. That's what I had.
Was that everything?
Yeah.
Discussion.
Yes. What about the building upgrades as suggested by the ordinance? I mean, I like his colors. I mean, they blend in nicely, but, you know, like our other buildings that we've approved, you know, they put stone up or fake stone or whatever, some sort of accessory onto the buildings to go ahead and present a better visual. There's nothing on these. And I'm not talking about a cupola, sorry, Chris.
Are you talking about doing something like that on where the maintenance shop with office would be located? Not on all of them.
No.
He's got the wainscoting color on the front of these things. That different to see.
Yeah, I saw that, but I'm just saying it.
It's, you know, same thing as what benefits is. Yeah.
Well, and he built his office, he has to have some.
Well, the office, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't mind for 8, 9, and 10, buildings 9 and 10 to have a little brick feature on that stuff because they're the closest to the road. That would be matching what benefits is would be then, and he puts an office in, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
So is that an addition to your
An
motion?
amendment to my motion.
And sorry, with the second?
So just brick, nothing more specific than that, some brick.
30%, something like that.
Because
Well,
the
You're the builder, so you would know percentage wise, both you guys.
To match what we said, Benevitz has to do when he built his office, as to how far up it had to go. It
easiest.
should match that.
Easy way of putting it.
And I don't recall offhand what we had set yours at, but
I hope you did.
Asking you a question.
it was in the minutes, I'm sure. Okay,
Do you remember what they said?
I don't recall. I
You
just
can
know
have
I had
the
a,
Information form on when we come to the town board then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any further? Any further additions?
Yeah, I have one other thing.
Go ahead. We're still in discussion.
Yep. Do we go ahead and, Mr. Vitucci's comment was that he needed 4 buildings full before he built the maintenance shop. Does he build the maintenance shop after his 4 buildings are full before we allow him to build all the rest of the buildings so they stay empty?
What's your question?
Okay, he needs 4 buildings to warrant the maintenance shop.
Right.
Correct, am I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So after the 4th building is built, all right, he has to fill those up, build his maintenance shop before he builds out the rest of the buildings.
Right.
For cold storage.
4 buildings, then maintenance.
4 buildings and then maintenance.
Correct, before building any others.
Right.
Is that all right with the maker?
Sure. Minutes.
Is it all right with the second?
that's the plan anyways, right?
So you build 4,
Actually,
your
my-
next building has to be the maintenance. Continue with discussion.
Okay, my only thought is what we're approving tonight is what I see up there with some conditions. Right, so I'll just throw this out there. Does anybody feel that Pete Paul's not gonna like this? But if you got tabled for another month until that can be adjusted, so we can see exactly what that would look like, possibly shorter buildings with a road in there, adjustments to any ponds if it needs to be. Is that, I know that's not what you.
Forgetting the other aspect there is that the property to the side would share that road.
It's possible.
Yeah, the road doesn't have to be all on that benefits parcel.
But that's what we could show on there possibly. But then that's where we have to get that permission from the landowner.
I think we need that corner where building 1 is, continue east to get to North Star.
And the other, yeah, and then continue to get out to Natvick.
Either way, whichever way you're coming from.
Oh, okay. So, because as we've heard, if in the event that those ponds, if they're in the way, they're gonna have to get moved. And he's gonna have to, say building, sorry, the end building would have to come out. We're approving it.
Correct, I mean,
Actually-
obviously, everything is gonna have to be approved by Dade County Land Conservation as far as the detention or retention ponds,
Right,
the
right.
final dimensions. And that'll determine if a building, that first building next to the pond, slightly narrower than the remainders anyway, and that'll be whatever it is.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way for us to know tonight, what they're actually gonna come down and say, for the pond size.
Okay.
Here's my point on the road. This is only a suggestion. That doesn't mean we can't have a turn here and make this road see the main road and go up that way. You can do all kinds of things. It's just a drawing.
I understand.
So, he needs building 1. That's why I think he eventually needs to put building 1 in there. If we determine at some future date that we really got to have that land, well, then let's work with them.
No, work with us when we determine we don't need the land for a road, and we'll lift that restriction.
Correct, because I don't wanna have to pay them for a
Otherwise,
building.
we're gonna plan on that corner being cut off so that we can get to North Star.
So you gotta change the road anyway, because the road's going through his ponds.
I realize that. So if you start at the first intersection of Road C.
Yeah.
And go between those 2 buildings, you're gonna just flip that corner of the property where building 1 sits. To continue on to North Star.
There's no reason why building one can't be the last building he builds as opposed to the first building he builds.
So building one's not even gonna go in for a long time, right?
That was
Well,
What's up?
I'm going by numbers wise.
No, it's not. Number one building going in is number two, correct? Or something like that.
Aren't you going back?
Seven.
No. The
Seven
first
is the
building
first
is
one
number
that gets
7.
built.
6, we're gonna work from
Backward.
east.
Front
to
and
west.
back.
Okay.
4 to 7
My bad.
are
I'm
the
sorry.
first one.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10. I guess that was my only thing, is to come back with a more defined drawing of what that would really look like, but
Yeah.
if we have conditions in there, I guess.
So what do you want the condition to be?
Building one can't be built until the town has laid out the road.
Well, we're gonna know what the road's gonna be in the next 2-3 years,
Yes,
anyway.
yes.
So,
I don't believe that would be a hardship for him.
well, if he never gets
It should
building
get
one, it's
done
gonna
before he
be, could be a
would
hardship
build
for him if
that
it
last
doesn't
building.
help the economics of the property.
Okay, so, and then, I think I answered my own question. Because these retention ponds are all gonna have to be figured out long before he builds.
Long before
The
he
first-
does
The first building goes up.
Well, no, because correct, the retention ponds will go in first. As he's building back toward him, the closer he gets to the ponds, that's where he may has to adjust his building because whether or not he runs out of room.
Well,
Because of
didn't
the
you say that county's pretty much done with your stormwater plan?
Yeah, the ponds are 10% greater than what the building, this current site plan,
Okay,
Aaron has
that's fine.
calculated, the calcs according to Quam Engineering and their reputable outfit
Yep.
are plus 10% right now,
That's fine.
to the
You
good.
know.
Moving on.
So
I'm out. I'm done. That's my thought.
if we decide we need that property for the road, it doesn't have a building up, how are we getting the land?
You may have to buy it
Okay,
unless he's generous and wants to give it to us. Those are your two options.
yeah, right.
Eminent domain. Or,
Yeah, there's a
well,
third option, yeah. Exactly, okay.
so after all that, was anything added? No. Are you adding anything more to your motion about building one?
What do you want to do?
I don't think we did, did we?
We haven't added it. We haven't added any limitation for building one yet for the road.
It was just
I'm
some
asking-
discussion.
I'm asking if you want to, since you're the seconder on the motion. I personally don't want to, but I also want the thing to pass, so I understand that.
Pretty sure we can work with it. Even getting the road in. Like you said, there's nothing there yet. It's just a drawing.
Right.
So
Like it the way it
Saints,
is.
huh?
Leave it the way it is.
Okay, with the building one in there.
Yep.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
4-3.
Okay, so I'm,
Motion carried.
you 3 voted no?
No, no, no. January 4th, 7 o'clock, town board.
Excited to be there. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And now somewhere, I lost we're down to Dane County Solar LLC applicant, Dane County landowner, a revised site plan for a solar facility conditional use permit.
Hi.
We have fun listening to us.
My legs are falling.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, could I join Bill here?
Sure.
Give me a minute here. I need to fire up.
Sorry.
Yeah, stretch your legs out.
The one that was on the table, the two pages, I believe, is the current. Current item for discussion. And it's always a bit of a moving target. So where is the arrow going to stick now?
I think we're there.
This one?
Yes. The one we're looking at there. And then Tim, remind me, how do I get in? I need to share what? Join the go to meeting?
Oh, you haven't joined it yet. I thought I saw you halfway in.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and then as soon as we do, I'll make you the presenter.
Join the meeting now. Open door. It's initializing. Have a great meeting. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm not seeing. Oh, there you are. Wait a minute.
Just pop it.
There you are. Okay.
Okay.
So, make you the presenter.
Do I need to do anything on my end?
It should tell you in a second that you're the presenter, and then you need to share your screen. It should say. There you go.
Yeah, I do that in staff meetings. They don't like it either. How do I, can you see the screen? I'm there.
You need to share your screen. There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit.
Move some stuff. This one is.
So they're actual parcels.
Apologize here, technical difficulties. Yeah, for some reason, here we go.
Oh, yeah, those are no houses in there.
Okay. How do I move all this stuff out of the way? Just slide it. Okay, very good. Oh, yours, good. I have all this stuff on, just so you know, why I'm griping. I have this on there.
You can note there's arrows, like diagonal arrows on each one of those that you can click on and then it'll minimize those.
I'll work around it. Very good.
There's too much on that one compared to this one.
Yeah.
No. You need to understand what this one is. This is the plan that was approved. So, yes.
Back in November.
Yeah, so back in November, we came before you and presented a plan. This is the plan that was approved. As you recall, at that time, we had proposed using a 550 watt panel that encompassed about 100, well, not about, it encompassed 108.7 acres. When I came back to you over the phone prior to Thanksgiving, we were looking at because of availability of the panels here, we were having trouble securing them. So we were looking at using a different panel, and that panel was a 440 watt panel, if you recall. And then that grew the footprint from 108.7 to 113 acres. The good news is that we have now found a panel that is really it's a very high quality, top of the line panel. It's made by a company called Canadian Solar. And so why does that do that? And what that does is it's going to reduce the footprint considerably. So this is the new footprint, and I'm going to try to toggle back and forth so you can kind of see the difference. So there's the old one. Here's the new one. The good news is we stay within the footprint of the previously approved plan.
Oh, the original one.
The original approved plan, the original CUP plan. But we're only utilizing 90 acres now. So we have actually secured these panels. They are, like I said, Canadian Solar. They're actually the Cadillac of panels. They're really good panels. And so these will be a single axis tracker. They're bifacial, which means that they do use the ability to collect sunlight off the back of them, so reflective sunlight. And there's actually a combination of two different colors, just so you understand, are 660 watt and 650 watt. So it's actually a blend of them, as you can see there.
600 and 650?
650 and 660, 650 and 660. And so, I know that was a concern. I saw some email traffic about that. Really, this now we've, luckily, I think we've moved to the top of the line as to the type of panels that we'll be using on this project. This
You
is the same,
actually have these.
we've actually signed these, yes. So they're not delivered, but you
No,
signed.
no, no, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you have some sort of contract
Yes, sir.
that will guarantee that you'll use
I
these
don't,
panels instead of the fourth version coming in.
I don't want to come back again.
You don't want to deal with this again.
No, I'm losing flesh.
Sorry.
No, we're bringing it ourselves. So, but yeah, just again, to toggle. So, all this area freed up here. We actually had extended down here. This is Ludd's Lane. So we'd actually had extended down. So I'm going to toggle back again. You can see that. So you can see here's Ludd's Lane again. Here's that property. We were all the way down here before. Some open space. Now we're here. Oops. Now we're here. And I believe there was an email, and I believe there was some correspondence with the town attorney that if we were staying within the footprint,
You don't have to have another public
we don't need a public hearing.
hearing.
And this really became more of an informational meeting for you guys to show you what we were doing. So
Because otherwise we push it out another
don't want to do
month,
that.
and we don't want to do that because we got to publish it 15 days before.
Correct. So this accomplished a lot of things. It got you a higher quality panel. It freed up open space that we talked about. As I mentioned, we secured these. Really
So
leave it
what's
at
the
that.
total output then? Is it still the 7?
It's 17.32 megawatts. And the way you get to that is you kind of backed into that number. And Dave, maybe you can help me out at this point. But the contract or the agreement with the county is to provide them with 31,000 RECs a year. A REC is a renewable energy credit. Now they use that to offset their carbon footprint. And Dave, maybe you can speak to how that number was arrived and what it'll take care of into the future.
Yeah, so a REC is a megawatt hour. And so when we're talking 31,000 RECs, what we're really talking about is 31,000 megawatt hours. And so when we initially, just to, clarify the initial request that we made in the CUP, if you remember, it called for a 20 megawatt system. I would call that really at the time, because we were in the middle still of our energy forecasting in terms of our need at the county, I would call that a placeholder or an upper bound where we thought what we may need. And we're forecasting out, into the next decade, 2030 and beyond. And so, we have forecasted, for example, there's an airport addition currently going on. We're talking about an additional 5,000 megawatt hours, for example, annually. When we talk about the new jail, which sorry, who knows where that will end? I'm just saying. Darn, I brought up that example. Yeah. There will be, energy needs. And so, we've done the best forecasting we can. There is discussion of, further electrification of our buildings or our vehicles. And so we think we've done a very good job, a very conservative job of trying to understand what our energy needs are to be supplied by this particular project. And so we arrived at a need of 31,000, by the year 2030, just to give you that background. And so what Bill was saying is using that number then of 31,000, working back in to an actual system size, and that's where Bill got to the 17.3.
The other 14 is on other sites to
Yeah.
get to the 31,000.
Yeah, for example, there's a lot that kind of goes into, we have our own facilities on 16 different buildings, and in terms of county operations. As you know, we built along with MG&E, the airport solar project, which is about 9 megawatts. which by the way, uses the Canadian solar panel, the bifacial panel. And I can tell you that we've had, that became operational just about 12 months ago now, last December. And we've had excellent results. I mean, just within all the guidelines of what MG&E told us, we would get off the Canadian solar, panel.
Alliant wants to add something.
Steve.
Yeah, I think maybe, Dave, correct me if I'm understanding your question correctly. I thought I heard you say like 17 and 14, trying to get to the 31 that way. So you have to think about the project output in two different buckets. So the 17.3 would be your instantaneous output. So the sun is out at any given moment, it can put out 17.3 megawatts. The other unit we're talking about is megawatt hours, which is that energy times time. And so if it's 17.3 maximum output for 1 hour, yes, that's 17.3 megawatts. But if it's sunny for 2 hours, double that. Now we're at, whatever it is, 34.6 megawatt hours.
Catch up your question.
And so over the course of the year, it's gonna
I thought
produce.
you were referring that you had other projects like at the airport.
No.
This is the 31,000.
Yeah, so this 17.3 will get to that 31,000 per year.
What's your name? Which one are you?
I'm Steve Gradonis with Alliant Energy.
So we certainly, we heard you loud and clear. We appreciate the concerns that you raised with us, and we appreciate the hard work that Sunvest has put into, meeting, and answering your questions. And in fact, we now have a better proposed facility in front of you.
So very good.
Mr. Andrews.
Question, you said that you forecast the county's energy needs out through 2030, give or take. Because this is going to be a 30-year lifespan theoretically of this field, 30 years from now, I would imagine that the county's energy needs are going to be much greater than they currently are based upon just growth. Fair assessment. What happens to then when the county needs additional credits to maintain its carbon neutrality? Are they going to be adding more panels to make this a larger farm?
Certainly could.
Potentially.
Because they use less land here, they would have.
We would have to come back.
Yeah.
In the future. I won't come back. Yeah.
One other.
Somebody have to come back and see if that would meet with your approval. It just can't be done.
Right. But the way it is and all. Yeah.
Let me mention one other factor. Although the county will certainly continue growing, it's not necessarily intuitive, though, that its renewable energy needs will continue to grow, because one factor we haven't talked about, and Alliant can probably best address this, what we've also factored into our energy forecasting is that the utilities are greening the grid. And so what we have forecasted into this projection as to a 31,000 megawatt hour need is with a grid of only about 30 to 40% renewable. Now, of course, locally you have MG&E and Alliant. They too, with their goals of reaching, net zero or 100% renewable. And so you have to factor in that increasing greener grid literally reduces our need for additional renewables. So
good point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any question?
Quick question. Given the area that you have, it's in the footprint, is it beneficial for you to put the pylons in, the posts in for the tilting beds, so to speak, now rather than later? Or am I thinking way too forward for the expansion?
They will, first you gotta get all the equipment, you gotta get it all lined up, you have to find the contracts. We would start this, the goal is to start this in the spring of next year.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as the ferry here,
Oh, you're saying add just bare pylons without the panels?
Right, without,
Yeah, probably, it wouldn't be cost beneficial. The piles are pretty substantial.
They need to be revenue
Cost.
producing. and
That's
they
what
wouldn't.
what's that?
They need to be revenue producing. or
Oh,
they wouldn't be.
you're right.
You're using an I-beam?
It's a galvanized, yeah, it's actually a pipe, I think for these. Is that correct? We're using a pipe, or do you know if it's an I-beam for the support? I think it's a pipe for the racking.
I believe they're more the I-beam for the ATI design.
6x9 or?
Yeah.
No, that was my only question. Thank you for using a better panel.
Oh. We're excited it worked out.
And Alliance here, if you have questions, they can educate us on solar panels.
Is the efficiency greater than 22 on these? I think 22.6 or 22.6 is the one before.
You know, you're gonna catch me because it's I don't know, because of the bifacial, what it picks up. I don't know.
So
I'm seeing if anyone is on that.
So the first ones both are not bifacial.
Oh, the first ones were not.
Oh,
No, no. Yeah, so these are bifacial. They're still the single axis tracker.
Correct.
Right.
Panel, as you said, will catch light on the backside.
Right.
Yes.
Wintertime, snow.
Snow, like, yes, exactly. Will help pick up.
The original panel was made in China. These are Canadian solar. Is that assembled in the US?
Globally sourced parts.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Well, and from what my research showed, they were coming from Vietnam and Malaysia,
Yes, sir.
the components.
Yeah.
Which, me in my mind, is better than China by a long stretch. But it's still, I mean, it's still globally sourced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two colors that you have on the map, which one relates to the 650 and the 660?
It's on there.
It's on here,
Yeah.
Chris. I'm trying to grab Chris up here.
The blue is the 650 and
Yeah.
the purple is the 660.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's on the other page.
Yeah.
It's right on,
It's on the cover page,
Yeah, it's on the front.
it's also on the.
top left-hand corner.
Yeah. So the purple color would be the 660, and the blue is the 650.
Okay. Do we need to worry about at the end of its lifetime in 30 years decommissioning the site?
I don't believe so, because you're gonna have, the landowner is Dane County. And at that point, the owner is gonna be Alliant. So they're both the owners. Certainly Alliant will have the money available to.
If I could add to that, the lease that we have with Alliant requires them to decommission the site and return it to the condition it's at currently.
At the end of the 30 years, John?
At the end of the lease, yes.
Thank you.
To answer Fred's earlier question, those modules, their data sheet says efficiency at 21.2%.
You know, and to answer your question, 30 years from now, you're not gonna worry about it.
You're still gonna be
Is
talking.
the panels the same size
Yeah,
as the other ones?
physically, they're actually a little bit larger.
They are a little larger.
Yeah.
Because of the increase in wattage.
So that's why I'm wondering if it's the market.
For Alliant, in other sites that you're developing, is this the standard panel that you use to generate as much power as
Yeah,
is
so,
available today with the technology?
Line is building a portfolio of projects right now. Some of those projects are much larger than this one.
Yeah.
These panels are actually a higher wattage than what we're looking at. on some of the larger sites. It's the same racking, the same single axis tracking, but the latest proposed modules are actually higher wattage.
Okay.
Planning to use at other sites, and so this would theoretically be less acreage
And
per megawatt
they're-
than big sites.
Yeah, they're bigger too, 4x8 versus 3x6. So
Yeah, I don't know my millimeter conversions, but these panels are,
The sheet of apply.
yeah,
size of the
1300
sheet of ply.
millimeter. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're the same technology, monocrystalline, bifacial. Is what is the main technology that we're putting in on utility scale farms, and actually all the way down to some
these
smaller farms.
Any other questions? Comment? What is Dade County okay if in our approval of the CUP that we put a 30-year end date after it becomes active? That the CUP would then have to be renewed?
If they don't terminate it.
Yeah, we have an option.
Well, the current contract we have with Alliant is for, renewable. It's a renewable contract that extends if needed beyond 30 years now. I believe is the current wording of the contract.
Okay, so your lease is for more than 30 years. You're leasing the land to Alliant.
Yeah.
In the end of 7 years, then you lease from Sunvest, it goes to Alliant, and that lease is for longer than 23 years.
Yes.
So is your question if they, if they dismantle the equipment, then the CVP would go away?
Yeah.
That's what you.
Or should we say that if at any 6 months or a year, if it is not active in that the CUP expired, because we want it to continue to be viable.
I think the lease already said.
We don't want it to be inactive and stagnant.
John, do you have a recollection? I don't have our contract.
Yeah, from my memory, it's a 30-year lease from the time that the facility begins operating, but they have an option to renew or extend for an additional 30 years. And then just a clarifying question, Mr. Chair, when you talk about the potential to write into the conditional use permit, because we're within the existing footprint, would we still be operating under the already approved conditional use permit? Maybe I was mistaken. I thought tonight was for informational purposes only.
Yeah, I'm afraid you are. But I can ask.
It's a site plan only. Good call.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
You never find out.
People smarter than me.
No. Why? I don't know. Yeah, I think in our original authorization, we approved the chain link fence versus you wanted that,
Deer fence. call it.
yeah.
This now shows the deer fence in this plan set,
At what height?
8 feet.
Is it gonna look like the Meyer Road one? Have you been down there? Same fence?
Yes, but like a 4 foot, a 4
Yeah.
inch. Yes.
Yeah, the square mesh, not the diamond mesh. Yeah.
Right.
This is what you would commonly see on the side of it.
This is more, sometimes
see
people refer to it as an
I went down Meyer
agricultural
Road
fence.
last week. You could hardly
So,
see it till you got
We
close.
should modify that to allow the deer fence then, because we had said chain link.
I believe the county was gonna have us do it anyway. And, in discussions I've had, it was requested of
Well,
us.
then what the hell are we here for?
I thought,
Aren't we a partner in this?
I thought we did have that as a condition, did we not?
No, you came in and asked us to change it. And I don't know that we approved it
Oh,
because
okay, okay.
we tabled everything because of the,
Oh, you're absolutely correct. You're talking about, yes, right before things.
so, yeah, it was
I
just a
apologize.
table.
You are
You
correct.
brought in the suggestion, and that's kind of
We
where it
could
was at.
go to that deer fence, but I don't think we ever acted on that.
You are correct. Now,
Yeah,
you
no, I
think
don't
you're
think we have.
sitting in my car in southeast Wisconsin on the phone
Yeah.
trying to keep a signal, so I was struggling a little bit there. But
So do you want to recommend that?
or can I go on the record saying we're already going to do it?
Okay.
I mean, we're on the
That'll be
record.
the deer fence and that'll be 8 foot tall
Yeah,
and won't match what the town approved.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I would just like us to all be on the same page.
Yeah. Question on the 8-foot square fence. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, stuff that runs along the interstate. That's only 4 foot high.
No, this is different. It's actually, it's not woven, it's not the farm fence. It's different kind of, if you look at I looked it up on the internet. If you look at the construction of it, it's substantially different than the 4x4
If you
fence.
go down Williams Drive and the apple orchard that Green had there, he has that.
Okay, well, I guess my question is, if it sags or something, will they repair it? Make it look nice?
I don't know if this helps you at all. This is what's in the plan set. Showing you.
I'm sure we
I see the, yeah, I see the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know what to worry about.
I could send him a link to this.
So Sunvest or is responsible for the maintenance of the fence, correct?
Whose responsibility is
first 7
it?
years.
It's the owner, yeah. In this case, not the landowner, it's us as the
Operator.
leasee of the property, yeah.
And then once it gets turned over to Lion.
Then it becomes the Lion's
Yeah,
responsibility.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. I think, are we good?
No.
No?
With what you put forth, in my mind, yes, we are.
Okay.
The other concern that I have is whether or not the town's going to be a participant for 30 years. Unfortunately, there's been comments made by a county official who threatened to go ahead and petition for annexation into the city of Madison if we did not approve this. And I guess I want an agreement before I would say approve, what we're doing here tonight, because I don't want to approve this and have the county 6 months later say, yep, we're petitioning, we're going in. So it takes the town out of it. It takes our revenue that we would glean out of this agreement that all of us have worked so hard to do, because the county decides that they didn't like the way the town took and took the whole proceeding. If the town had presented, this is nothing against you, I mean, absolutely none. If the town had presented something to the ZLR in the manner that was presented to us from you guys with changing, for whatever the reasons were, the county would have set us away, we'll see you in a year, and disapproved our application. The town is only trying to do its due diligence, do it correctly so we don't get sued, so the county doesn't get sued by a perceived, somebody who's been wrong. And I guess that I would want some assurances that the town is going to be a 30-year participant in this. And it's nothing that you guys can provide, I understand that.
I can't provide.
But it's got to come from the county. And, I don't want to say we're holding anybody hostage, but good gosh, I mean, when they're threatening the potential to annex into the city because they didn't like the way we were doing our job, that's absolutely unacceptable.
That's all I can say is that what you're saying is news to me. I think it's news to Dave.
It's news to me.
I don't think there's, I can't speak for the county or the town or the city, but
there's nothing that we could do to stop it, unfortunately. And so I don't know, Mr. Chair, where that leaves us right now. I'm 100% on board with everything that with Sunvest is proposing to get the CUP rolling. And, but I would want some assurances. Well, the town board will have the final say come January 4th, but I guess I would want some assurances from the county that for the next 30 years, that they're not going to petition the city to annex this land out of the township.
Can I just correct on one thing? It is my understanding that we don't need to go to the town board because we're still within the footprint. Is that correct?
Right. True. I misspoke. Correct.
So, to me, I mean, just as a layperson on the outside, it sounds
The
like.
attorney said that we don't have to have another public hearing, but that doesn't mean that you still don't have to have the approval of town officials for changes to the plan that was, I didn't think. That's not how I took what the attorney said. We were asking him, do we have to publish notice of another public hearing so that the public has a chance to know that this has changed? And he said only if the footprint has changed, because that's the effect that it has on the public. But my understanding was still that this came back to the town because it was different than what they approved. And so
Exactly.
I don't think that this is just information only. This is the town saying, okay, yep, this is different than what we originally approved, but it's okay.
But it's a smaller footprint than what was approved, so.
But it's different. Different.
You needed our approval of the planning commission. Why wouldn't you need the towns for the changes?
They're saying they don't need the approval of the.
According to the attorney, we don't need your approval for this change, so why would I need the approval?
Is that what you thought he said? That you don't need they don't need any approval? I thought we just didn't have to republish it and have the public all back in.
Yeah, see, we already gave them the approval for the larger footprint.
But it came back here. Okay, so you just approved the footprint. That's all you thought you were approving.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's smaller.
The parcel of land is stays the same.
Yeah.
Just the footprint of
Right.
the structures.
Yeah.
And the fence change, so.
The panel is just a little kind of a comment. You could say it was a reasonable accommodation, something. I don't even want to word it that way. It was just a improvement in what we have.
In availabilities.
And I do have a photo of the fence from a different facility. If anyone would be interested, I can walk around quickly.
The plan commission needs to approve it, and you guys can decide whether the town.
The plan commission, they're saying that you don't have to do anything now.
Yeah, this is, really, I feel, and it's my understanding, this is just for informational purposes, just to show you what we were doing.
So in
We're
other
not
words,
expanding, but
if this is what your change would have been a month ago, you wouldn't have even been before us.
Correct,
right?
correct.
But a month ago, it got bigger.
Yeah.
Right, which was a change.
Yeah, right.
Which was a change outside of the footprint of the boundary that you had approved.
Right.
Now we just went the other direction and
Yeah.
shrinking it back in. So.
But I think we're good.
So what do we do when the county decides, if they decide to go ahead and take this all away from us?
What then is it?
Yeah.
Ask the county for an agreement that they won't.
I don't think they'll want to do that.
I mean, that would push them to say, no, we'll just take it right now. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we can stop them if we want to anyways, can we?
No.
Well, yes, there is, because of the fact, if they petition for annexation right now, they'll never build it when they want to, beginning in 22. Because it's going to have to go to the city, it's got to go through the county, it's got to come to the town, it's got to go to the state. So right now, it doesn't behoove them to do anything. But a year from now, or whenever, yes, theoretically could.
They don't want to be a bad guy.
Baloney. Look, how about all these emails that we received from all these activist groups telling us that we needed to approve this tonight?
And did you read it? Like,
They didn't know.
there's about 2 lines.
Well, I agree.
And
And the county did not fully advise these activist groups what they were sending a letter for, other than just to send it to the town They didn't tell them why this thing was being held up. And so,
Did
I
you
thought it was
notice
really
the
strange.
subject of a lot of them? Their subject is to approve the landfill.
Yeah, right. And I just thought it was funny, we never saw anything for the larger, first proposal, but we saw for the second one. So somebody did.
because the county was soliciting support from the activist groups to try and pressure us to approve.
That's it. And all we were doing was just asking for something.
But they put that in there.
All right, Dave,
Not that we wouldn't disapprove.
But,
I'm ready.
oh, I was just asking, should we approve the fence? Okay, then move to adjourn.
Motion by Mule, is there a second by Troy, non-debatable, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Thank
you
you.
guys. Have a good, have a safe holiday also.